In a play, you can't move the audience, but you can in film. Let's study camera moves such as zoom-ins, dollies, and crane shots, and why and how they add meaning and feeling into Spider-Man into the Spiderverse. If the audience know there's a bomb, but the characters on screen are oblivious, you've got the audience on the edge of their seat. You've hooked and engaged them. That's what's happened here, but there's a Spiderverse twist to it. A spider might seem dangerous, but audiences know this is how someone becomes Spider-Man. So there's also this excitement. There's hoping for this bomb to go off, for the spider to bite Miles. Let's see how camera moves and lack thereof feed our excitement, danger, and highlight character obliviousness. Before the spider, the characters are already given something to be excited about, this adventure of putting up some new art. The dolly back and pan, tilt up, emphasize the echo. The echo brings us to this shot. They added this idea that Miles loves to yell for an echo just so we have a bigger motivation to cut to this important shot. Just so we know something Miles doesn't yet know, which is integral to the tension of the scene, supported by such a small, seemingly unimportant character choice. The shot screams danger. One, the sound, and the small camera move, with the dark objects in the foreground, remind us of the you are being watched shots we've been discussing. The music has the characters excited about this thing they are creating, which firmly establishes them as oblivious to the danger. But the excitement is working on another level, we the audience. Most shots in this scene are moving, showing the spider getting closer, which adds more tension. The camera is moving, adding exciting energy or creeping danger. All of this builds up of tension and no bomb goes off. The tension is cut by a cut, and the exciting music cuts out. It's a climax. The director has the good stuff happen in the denouement, similar to this shot in Stranger Things when we think Hopper is going to hear about the missing boy.
Whatever it is you deem so necessary, on Monday morning, Phil Larson called, said some kids are stealing the gnomes out of his garden.
But it's something else. It's a false flag, this time with a lot more work and tension building up to the not payoff. The danger supported by the music is never more real in this moment, but without camera moves and music, the tension doesn't seem to rise much.
Alright, come on, man. I gotta roll.
The tension is all in this moment. And then it's all deflated by this dolly out, going from a micro level close-up to a medium. A close-up is more intense than a wide, and the dolly out sucks out that tension. There is a similar tension deflation in Hocus Pocus. It's because the payoff doesn't start till later, and the rest of the movie is about Miles coming to terms with him having this greater responsibility. Earlier in the film, Miles is becoming overwhelmed at his new school. We've discussed how a dolly out dissolves tension, but how can it do the opposite? We start on a detail. The director isn't subtle with the audience, it will be a question mark, the same thing Miles will be feeling. When we dolly out to a sea of details, we are overwhelmed. We can't possibly absorb this information in the time that it is given to us. Your shots don't have to work alone. Music helps add tension, and quickening cuts increases the tension. Let's count the frames between cuts so you can see how this increases tension. 42, 54, 24, 24, 23, 34, 43, 31, 21, 21, 27, 46, 15, 14, 41, 15, 17, 17, 22, 18, 15. The quicker the cuts, the more the audience struggles to absorb the information, increasing the tension. Notice the cuts getting faster as the rising tension peaks. It's not an accident the longer shots are camera moves increasing tension. Not after Miles has proven himself to be a weirdo, we have our next shot, which is just cool, and much easier to do in an animated film. Canted angle, he's embarrassed. Steadicam, everybody pan, everybody feels judgy in his face. His eyes motivate the pans to the side. We don't cut because it all feels real, personal, and vulnerable for him. Perfect for staying on a close-up, but being attacked on both sides. We zoom out, and just as before, it makes us feel overwhelmed. When Miles goes to investigate the spider that bit him, he steals up his courage before going to confront the truth. He's looking down. The director is tricking us. This next shot feels like a cutaway to what he's looking at. With the previous look and the Steadicam, it makes it feel like we are seeing through Miles' POV, and he's about to go into the tunnel. The slow tilt up showing an imagined trepidation in moving forward into the gateway, and to confront his suspicions. But he's already in the tunnel! What this does is it shows his fear for the shot before and this camera move, which although real, isn't believably going to stop him. So we truncate the tension and jump to a point where he's already confronting it. It's like the Steadicam and the look down the tunnel are two separate shots, separated by time. Now, hiding the villain or monster in a movie, as if it might be too much for the audience to handle at once, builds up this fear and tension, and that's exactly what they do here.
You like my new toy? Cost me a fortune, but hey, can't take it with you, right?
Showing us extreme close-ups of his hands as he and we advance. He's so cool and dangerous that he calmly clicks a pen even as he's about to try to kill someone, keeping him faceless for now.
Cost me a fortune, but...
The hands again, and the tilt-up for the slow reveal timed out perfectly with not a camera move, but his menacing advance, and then timed delivery dialogue.
Can't take it with you, right?
Now, these are pretty set of interesting shots for when Miles goes to visit Peter Parker's grave to apologize and for guidance. It mixes the feeling that Miles is being watched here. Objects in the foreframe, and there's a side dolly. But who is watching him? The dead. And the why? Because they are judging him against a set of standards.
With great power comes great responsibility.
When someone looks at you with a piercing stare, it's as if they are judging you. And that's what this him being watched is at first.
I'm not sure I'm the guy. I can't do this without you.
They use the watching feeling to set this up also. These next shots are after Miles' uncle is killed, and the director uses camera moves to tease out the reveal to his dad, who has just arrived on the scene. Camera is moving to avoid any cuts. There's not to be any quickening of the tension. Camera swings up to follow Dad's look up at the invisible web sling, but also to have it so he blocks dead Uncle Aaron because Dad doesn't see him yet. And then a slow dolly in on Dad. Maybe at first it's his realization, but that's not the climax. It's on sadness, his expression we are seeing at first, but it doesn't reach peak tension on that, but then it turns to anger.
All units. I want an PPE on it.
And the camera stops. The climax Miles gets, a new enemy, his own dad, a new level of tension. Let's break down the beginning of the climactic face-off between Kingpin and Miles, and how they use camera moves to establish Miles as the underdog. Kingpin not only gets a longer push-in, but he gets a second in which he appears very big in frame. In film, it is sometimes important to spoon-feed information to your audience, otherwise they might get confused, but that is not what happens here. Miles looks over to the floating building section and sees someone. Miles is far away, so the shot is so far away too. He couldn't possibly see that this is his dad, and yet we know that he knows, and he's drawing strength from that. How do we get this understanding? From before, we the audience knows who it is. And this quick short zoom tells us Miles notices something, so we put two and two together. Now it's your turn to tell us your thoughts about how this next shot works in the comments section. Miles is late for school and he's having trouble getting out the door. Why is this a camera move? How does blocking work in the scene?
Where's my laptop?
¿A dónde lo dejaron?
No
Hey,
sé.
if you want me to drive you, we gotta go now.
No, I'll walk.
Personal chauffeur going once.
It's okay.
María, este nene me tiene loca. Miles, gotta go.
In a minute. In a minute.
Thanks for watching. The camera moves to Spider-Man into the Spiderverse. I hope it helps you appreciate movie making or inspires you as a director in choosing your own shots. Subscribe and hit notifications for more.